Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine, giving you an update. I'm proud and pleased to introduce the latest issue of the magazine. For those of you who are digital subscribers, you got it about a week and a half ago. If you're a print subscriber, the issue was mailed earlier this week, and you should be, some of you at least, should be receiving it right now. It usually is scattered, the delivery is scattered across a period of 3 weeks. So if you haven't received it yet, hold tight, it's on the way. Let me share some of the highlights with you, starting with the cover. This is all about the Herb Peck collection. For those of you who are new to collecting or veterans, you have likely heard of Herb Peck, the charismatic collector dealer from Nashville, Tennessee, who was involved in the photo and art department at Vanderbilt University. He was a gun collector, he was a photo collector, and the victim of a theft in 1978, 45 years ago. A significant part of his collection, including a large part of it being Confederates and antebellum soldiers, but also civilians and Union images, all stolen. And up until 2006, or in 2006, 2 years after Herb passed, the first image was found. Flash forward to 2017, we published a poster of the stolen images. And as a result of leads generated by that poster, the FBI and Tennessee law enforcement were able to recover a bunch more, altogether 39 images plus the one that turned up in 2006 for a total of 40. And now we're looking for more. And as you'll read in the story, Felicity Peck, Herb's widow, and Bruce Jackson, Herb's longtime friend and the agent for the Herb Peck collection, are seeking the help of the collecting community. In this article, told you all about the backstory, bringing you up to speed on the latest, and an interesting twist. So check that out when you can. Also, want to give a tip of the cap to Kevin Canberg, one of our senior editors at the magazine, who has started a Facebook page to help recover the missing images. So look for that too. Other stories of interest, other feature stories of interest. Bobby McCoy, a great passionate collector of photography, has unearthed an original unpublished image of James B. Washington. Maybe not a name you know, but he's the J.B. Washington in the iconic photograph of him with George Armstrong Custer taken in 1862. I know you students of the Civil War have seen this photograph. We've written a story that details how that photograph came to be, the backstory of that photograph, the connection to George Washington, the first president, the founding father, the general of the Revolutionary Army, and what happened afterwards. So look for that story. Some more stories I want to tell you about. Brave boy lieutenant, story of an aide de camp, Frank Sheets, written by Brendan C. Hamilton. This is Brendan's first appearance in the magazine, and he did a stellar job. It was great storytelling, and I'm so happy for the contribution. And as I told Brendan in an email, please, I'd love to have more of your contributions. He really brought the story of this young man, Frank Sheets, an aide de camp, to life. Also, another story about an aging veteran who, around 1919, wrote a story to his 2-year-old great grandson. He knew he wasn't going to see his great grandson live to maturity, but he wanted to share his experiences and give some advice to the little boy. He gave advice, and we'll include those bits of advice in the letter in the story. It's written in only a way that a Civil War veteran could write such a thing. Also, a story about generals, famous generals from Europe who never became generals in the Union or Confederate armies. It's quite an interesting story by Frank Yastrzemski. And Frank has found three interesting figures, some names you know, some that you might not, and discusses how they didn't become generals. One other item to mention to you in the feature category, a Q&A with Rick Carlisle. You've seen him on Facebook. You've seen him particularly in the Image Collector, Dale Neeson's site or page, and elsewhere. Rick has been collecting for a long time, started out with hard images and CDVs, eventually settled on CDVs. And you can read his thoughts about his many years of collecting and his thoughts about the future of collecting. Of course, all of our features, or pardon me, all of our columns are still very much in play. Passing and Review, which reviews the latest media. Photo Sleuth by Dr. Kurt Luther, the founder of CivilWarPhotosleuth.com. Antebellum Warriors, Most Hallowed Ground, which looks at a soldier or sailor buried in Arlington National Cemetery. The Honored Few, which is dedicated to Medal of Honor recipients. The Citizenry, which talks about what's happening off of the front lines. Perry Froney's Fakes, Forgeries, and Frauds column. And there's more. Material Culture, which is guest hosted by Tony Giro this time around. Stragglers, coming up, a collection of images that are sent in, individual images sent in by subscribers and members of the collecting community. Vignette by Scott Hamilton. And of course, The Last Shot. If you're not familiar with the magazine, check us out on shopmilitaryimages.com or militaryimagesmagazine.com. We've been around since 1979, founded by Harry Roach. He had a crazy idea, capitalizing on what he saw being done by Bill Frazanito and his famous books about Gettysburg and Antietam in the mid 70s. Harry thought, wow, I think it would be interesting to have some publication that was dedicated to do what Bill Frazanito did for battlefield photography, for portrait photography. And thus was born Military Images. We've been around since that time. I've lost track of the years, 44 years, coming up on 45 in publication. I'm the fourth editor. Our goal is to showcase, interpret, and preserve historic photos from the Civil War era. Check us out. If you're a subscriber, so many thanks. We can't do it without your support. If you're not a subscriber, if you've seen postings on Facebook, if you've watched Life on the Civil War Research Trail on YouTube, this is your chance. Come in and subscribe, support the mission, support what we do, support the collecting community so we can keep these images, Civil War history, and this whole American history that we know alive and relevant. So thanks for listening. Take care.